Hello, welcome to our channel. In today's video we will see a great hobby that develops more and more in the world, the carpentry. Our video today is, how to make carpentry a hobby. And let's go to the video. How to make carpentry a hobby. It is likely that at some point you have thought about dedicating yourself to carpentry, even if it was an amateur or hobby. Then we present a series of basic carpentry tips for beginners, useful for all those who want to start in this world. Basic carpentry tips for beginners, how to make carpentry a hobby. Have varied tools. If you are starting out in carpentry you will not have many tools, but they should be varied. In addition to the workbench, you should have tools for measuring and marking, sawing, brushing, sanding and some auxiliary tools. Keep your tools well stored. For the correct conservation of tools, they cannot be stored at all. Tools that have a delicate edge, for example, should be kept in a suitable position so that it is not damaged by its bad position or contact with other tools. Try to store tools in dry places to prevent them from rusting and deteriorating. If you keep them for their function, you'll also avoid having to fight every time you need to look for one. Buy or build a good workbench. You can't make good carpentry without a good workbench. Acquire or build a large workbench, which allows you to do all kinds of work. Try to be in an isolated place, where you do not disturb or interfere with other rooms in the house. Try to have the countertop well maintained and clean, as it will be the place where you will carry out all your projects. The measures are very important. Always measure the materials you will use for a project workspace, the place where you will put the work. Take action as much as you can, because a bad measure can create a ripple effect that can have disastrous effects on the final project. How to sand a surface. When working with wood, sanding is a key step in preparing the surface. If you have no experience in the matter, experts recommend starting with a coarse sandpaper, and then finishing with a finer sandpaper. It is also important to sand in the direction of the grain. If you want to know if a sandpaper is of good quality, the simplest is to fold it. If the beans fall, the paper is not of the recommended quality and it will be better to use another. Safety comes first and foremost. Put safety and physical integrity on your priority list. Wear the right clothes, wear gloves and goggles to get the job done. Wearing safety boots is also a recommended option in case you drop some heavy object on your foot. How to varnish wood, how to make carpentry a hobby. After sanding, wood varnishing is another of the most important phases of carpentry. In this case, we should pay attention to two very important aspects, the brush, which should be as large and flat as possible, and the porosity. Check if the wood is more or less porous to choose the best varnish and know how many layers apply. If the wood has small details, use a smaller, round brush to varnish them. How to avoid chipping wood, how to make carpentry a hobby. One of the main problems that arise when cutting wood is splintering. That is, when cutting wood, chips and a clean cut do not occur. There are several ways to avoid it. The most important thing is that your tools are in good condition and well sharpened. Also, be sure to use the correct saw for each type of wood. Not all tools reduce the same on all materials. Another trick is to use a piece of discarded wood as a support for the piece you are going to cut. How to drive nails without hurting yourself. Certainly, to start out in the carpentry world, one of your biggest concerns was how to drive a nail without suffering in the attempt. There are several tricks that will make this task easier. If the nail is large, you can use the teeth of a comb to hold it down while you nail it. If it's smaller, you can nail it to a piece of cardboard or similar material so that it's straight when you nail it, so you don't have to use your fingers. So are you enjoying the video? Leave your like, subscribe to the channel. Share this video. And if you want to know more about carpentry, I'll be leaving 3 courses in the description that will tell you everything about having a carpentry shop at home. Practice a lot. Practice makes perfect. Although at first it is difficult for you to carry out some projects, keep trying. Nobody is born learning, and carpentry is a technique that can be improved with perseverance and practice. Read articles, search YouTube videos, invent, be creative. Trust a professional. If you notice that a project is getting out of hand or you don't have enough skills to carry it out, don't hesitate to hire a professional carpenter. Leaving the project in good hands will avoid risks to your health and you will not damage the materials, which can sometimes be costly. The basic tools of carpentry: how to make woodworking a hobby. Carpentry as a hobby means that basic tools for carpentry are not something you buy with the intention of using them constantly. In fact, most of us acquire different elements when we need them. But making a good toolbox can not only help us save money, but it can also allow us to have a good hobby that allows us to reduce stress and always have the house in good condition. In fact, in addition to tastes and capabilities, there are tools that can be left at home to solve some unforeseen circumstances. You just have to know a little about some essential aspects and arm yourself with a good team to fix things around the house or even make a piece of furniture or a decorative object with your own hands. Basic tools for the home: how to make carpentry a hobby. It is not necessary to deal with trade or buy instruments or devices from a professional. There are some homemade carpentry tools that we can buy, together or separately, to assemble equipment without breaking the bank. In addition, there are instruments that cover different needs and that we will certainly amortize before every problem that arises at home. They can be manual, electric, or even professional. We tell you what they are. What can't you not have at home? A selection that covers as many needs as possible could be the following. Toolbox: to keep things in order, it is recommended to have a toolbox with different compartments. It's a way to have everything organized, accessible, and also to avoid accidents with sharp instruments. It's good that everything has its place and that the box is not accessible to children. Wrench: this part is mainly used to tighten bolted elements or nuts with hexagonal heads. Meter: it is essential to have an element to measure. Ideally, it should be at least 2 to 2.5 meters long. Tweezers: it is one of the simplest and has many uses. It is very important that it is of good quality and that it has rubber on the parts where we hold it, when we use it for electrical tasks. Screwdriver: used to tighten and loosen screws. Its biggest advantage is that it requires little clamping force. Handsaw: like the staple, it is one of the most used. The saw is used to cut wood and should have an interesting advantage. Vise: it is also known as a vise and serves to hold the pieces to it. Square: the best materials are metal or aluminum. The size must meet our needs. In general, a medium length is recommended. Chisel is one of the most popular and is widely used. The chisel is a tool with a steel mouth and double straight chamfer for hammering stones and metals. Cutter: not only for carpentry, as a good cutter can save us in other circumstances. It's better to be collapsible, so you can transport it safely. It is ideal to have a protective cover. Woodworking power tools: how to make woodworking a hobby. If we want to do more complex jobs on our own, we have to consider buying some electrical ones in addition to the manual ones. Grinder can be used for sanding, cutting, leveling, polishing, among other functions. The ideal is to have electronic speed control. Electric drill or screwdriver makes drilling and riveting easier. That was our video for today. If you've watched this far, don't forget that the description has links to 3 fantastic courses to teach you everything about homemade carpentry. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel and share the video. And until the next video.